Hello, today I'm looking at Majjhima number 103. It's called the Kinci Sutta, translated as "What do you think of me?" And looking up the word Kinci in the Pali dictionary, it means weather, at the adverb weather, whether it's good or not. So, yeah. Now the location is Kusinara, in the Grove of Offerings, and the people mentioned are Buddha, or the Blessed One, and the assembled bhikkhus, or monks. So it starts with Buddha asking, what do his followers think of him? Does he teach the Dhamma, the way, for the sake of gaining robes, for the sake of alms food, for a resting place, or for merit? And the reply came from the assembly of bhikkhus, no, the Blessed One teaches the Dhamma out of compassion. So if this is the case, Buddha continues, you should train without dispute in the following: the 4 foundations of mindfulness. So I'm referring back to Satipatthana Sutta, Majjhima number 10, which states that the 4 foundations of mindfulness are contemplation of the body via 14 exercises like paying attention to the breathing, 2, contemplation of feeling, 3, contemplation of mind, and 4, contemplation of mind objects. The 5 hindrances, the 5 aggregates, the 6 senses, the 7 enlightenment factors, and the 4 noble truths. And the 7 enlightenment factors are right mindfulness, which is total immersion and awareness of the present moment, so not lost in daydreaming, and releasing habits of mind that maintain the illusion of a separate self, i.e., e.g., being mindful of breath, that is, it is just breath. 2, the second enlightenment factor is investigation, keen investigation into the nature of reality, the Dhamma, or Dhamma Nikaya. 3, third enlightenment factor is enthusiastic effort. 4 is contentment, that is letting go of craving. The 5th is calmness, which is tranquility of body and consciousness. The 6th is concentration, that is practicing the 4 jhanas. And the 7th is equanimity, the balance between aversion and desire. So those are the 7 enlightenment factors, which are part of the 4 foundations of mindfulness. And the next thing that Buddha says you should train in is the 4 right kinds of striving. Now that's dealt with in Majjhima number 77. And the first 4 right kind is strive to stop unwholesome states arising. Second is strive to abandon unwholesome states that have arisen. Third is strive for the arising of wholesome states. And the 4th is strive to maintain wholesome states. And the next thing to train in is the 4 bases for spiritual power. And 1 is the desire to act, or zeal. 2 is exertion of effort. 3 is purity of consciousness. And 4 is sustained investigation. And next to training is the 5 faculties, or the spiritual factors, or indriya. And that's first is faith, second is vigor, third is mindfulness, 4th is concentration, 5th is wisdom. And the next one is the 5 powers, panchabala. And the 5 powers are faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. So that sounds exactly like the 5 faculties. So I'm interpreting that to mean the 5 faculties are having the ability, or the spiritual factors, and the 5 powers is the exercise of that ability. So one is the potential, one is the kinesis. The next one is to train in the 7 enlightenment factors, which I mentioned under the heading of right mindfulness. And lastly is the Noble Eightfold Path. So that, in a nutshell, is the Dhamma, in which Buddha says you should train without disputing in the following. Buddha then goes on to discuss interpretation of the Dhamma. So at this point I'm thinking this seems to be sort of a farewell speech to the bhikkhus, so he's probably done when he's quite late in life. So he's almost saying, after I've departed, although he doesn't actually say that. It says that if 2 monks, bhikkhus, disagree about the meaning and phrasing of the higher Dhamma, then both parties should be approached and they should agree to disagree. Do not fall into dispute. Just leave it that it is difficult to understand, and what is wrongly grasped should be borne in mind as wrongly grasped. What is Dhamma and what is discipline should be further studied. Now, of these 2 bhikkhus, if they differ about the meaning but agree about the phrasing, then again realise something has been wrongly understood. What is Dhamma and what is discipline should be further studied. Next, but if the 2 bhikkhus, monks, agree about the meaning but differ about the phrasing, this is of no consequence, and bhikkhus should not fall into dispute about this. So even if the bhikkhus agree about the meaning and phrasing, they should still further study what is Dhamma and what is discipline. Buddha then goes on to cover another aspect. Buddha continues, if a bhikkhu commits some transgression, and if the bhikkhu is not firmly attached to his view, and is not causing anger and resentment, and can be persuaded to emerge from the unwholesome state, then speak to him. If the bhikkhu has committed a transgression, has not caused you upset, but he will be angry and resentful if corrected, but he is not firmly attached to his view, then correct him. For it is better if he is hurt and resentful in the short term, that he be corrected and be wholesome again. But if you will be troubled and the other person not hurt, as they are not given to anger and resentment, then even if their view is tightly held, it is better to speak to make them wholesome again, if you believe that speaking to them will make them wholesome. So as the person asking to adjust is upset by what's happening, still carry on. The next example Buddha gives, if you are both troubled by confrontation over his wrong, then it is still right to speak to make them wholesome, if you know they will emerge from the unwholesome view. So it's worth making the effort. If, however, you feel they will be upset and the person's unwholesome view will not change, then just treat the person with equanimity. I accept they're wrong, I suppose. Buddha continues, and if you are training and there arises some discord or annoyance with bitterness and dejection, then ask the bhikkhu thus, if the Buddha knew of this behavior, would he disapprove? Answering correctly, the bhikkhu would say, the Buddha would disapprove. And then further ask, without abandoning this bickering and resentfulness, can you achieve nibbana? So without abandoning, can you achieve Nibbana? And answering rightly, the bhikkhu would say, no, I cannot achieve Nibbana with this behavior. Just remember at all times to accord to the Dhamma, and do not exalt yourself nor disparage others, just answer in accordance with the Dhamma. This is what the Blessed One said. The bhikkhu's words satisfied and delighted the bhikkhus were satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. And that's the end of Majjhima Nikaya number 103, the Kinci Sutta. Thanks for watching.